Hi, I'm Brian Hughes with the A.T. Still University Human Movement Program. Today I'm going to be discussing and demonstrating 7 exercises that will be part of my 52-week program designed with the specific goal of improving load carriage ability in first-year U.S. Army soldiers. My demonstrator today is my company executive officer, First Lieutenant Johnny Dotson, and my videographer is my company commander, Captain Katie Jo Payne. For the first exercise, Turkish get-ups, to get into position, lay down next to the kettlebell, with the kettlebell close to the shoulder. Grasp the kettlebell with a deep, firm grip. Roll over towards the kettlebell, grasping with both hands, and pull it over onto your chest. Now press it straight up overhead firmly, and keep your eyes on it at all times. Now flex the knee of the leg on the same side as the kettlebell, bringing the heel close back to the buttocks. Abduct your opposing leg slightly and your opposing arm approximately 80 degrees. To better stabilize the shoulder, externally rotate slightly and retract the shoulder, keeping that tight, packed shoulder position throughout the movement. Now crunch and come up onto your left forearm, simultaneously driving through the right heel. Think about keeping good thoracic spinal extension and your chest up at all times, and keep your eyes on the kettlebell. Shift your weight onto your left hand and come up off of your forearm. Now drive through your right heel and extend at the hips. Tighten the glutes hard and drive the hips up as much as possible. Now bring the left leg back and place the knee under the body. This is oftentimes referred to as threading the needle or sweeping the leg. At this point, you can take your eyes off the kettlebell and assume a neutral head position. Rotate your left leg and come up into an upright position. Now stand up using a split squat technique and bring the feet together. To begin the descent, perform a reverse lunge by taking an exaggerated step to the rear with the left leg and slowly lowering the left knee to the ground. Once again, keep the shoulder tight and packed and keep your core engaged. Slowly lower your left arm back to the ground, placing approximately 1 arm's length from your left knee. At this point, you need to once again keep your eyes on the kettlebell until completion of the movement. Now bring the left leg through and fully extend it forward while keeping a tight core and maximum hip extension. Slowly lower the hips until the buttocks are on the ground. Ensure thoracic flexion does not occur at this point. Slowly lower the left elbow to the ground and in a controlled manner lower the torso to the ground. Now lower the kettlebell to your chest and return it to the ground. This completes 1 Turkish get-up repetition. The next exercise is renegade rows performed with kettlebells. Place 2 kettlebells on the ground approximately shoulder width apart. Assume a push-up position with your hands on the kettlebell handles and your feet spread wide enough for adequate stability. Now push 1 kettlebell into the ground and row the other kettlebell by flexing the elbow and retracting the shoulder at the top. You should be able to touch the inside of your wrist to your rib cage on each rep. Now lower the kettlebell back to the floor and repeat on the other side. Squat jumps. Start with the feet shoulder width apart. Place the hands on the back of the head and interlock the fingers. Initiate the movement with the hips and sit back into a good squat position until approximately 90 degrees of knee flexion is achieved. Forcefully explode back up with a powerful knee and hip extension. Drive through the heels and keep the chest up. Pull the toes back up toward the shins while in the air until right before landing. Ensure full hip extension is achieved at the top of the movement. Land and immediately continue the cycle without pausing. The lateral shuffle with body armor and weapon. For this movement, we are going to incorporate body armor and a dummy rifle to increase the difficulty and add relevance and specificity. Start with the feet shoulder width apart. Squat slightly and keep the back flat and the chest up with your weight on your heels. With the body armor on, it is harder to observe any flexion of the T-spine, so repeated verbal cues may be necessary. Bring the weapon to a high ready position. Step laterally with the lead leg in the direction of travel. Pick up the trail leg and bring it toward the lead leg to return to the squat position. Keep the rifle pointed straight forward and do not allow it to sag. Shuffle in the same direction for 30 yards and then return to the start point by shuffling in the opposite direction. The forward lunge and twist with body armor and weapon. This movement will also be performed with body armor and a dummy rifle in order to challenge the soldier and add relevance and specificity. Start with the feet hip width apart. Hold the weapon in the right-handed fire, low ready position. Take an exaggerated step forward with the left leg. Lower the right knee to the ground in a controlled manner while rotating the torso to the left, assuming a high ready weapon posture with the point of aim being approximately 90 degrees to the left. Rotate the torso back to the right and perform a split squat to return to the standing position while returning the weapon to the low ready. Quickly switch the weapon to a left-handed low ready position and repeat by lunging forward with the right leg and rotating to the right. Continue to perform the forward lunge and twist for 30 yards. The farmer's walk. Place the load approximately shoulder width apart for setup. Stand directly in between the load and grasp it firmly. Keep a good lordotic curve of the lumbar spine, the chest up, and drive through the heels. While walking, ensure that the shoulders are not protracted forward and that the back is not rounded. Instead, retract the shoulders and keep a good flat back throughout the movement. Keep the chest up and the head neutral at all times. Once you have completed the distance prescribed, set the weight down the same way you would lower a deadlift. Romanian deadlifts. The Romanian deadlift differs from the standard deadlift in several ways. Each repetition starts and ends at the up position. Emphasis is on the eccentric phase instead of the concentric phase. Though the knees are unlocked, there is very limited knee flexion in order to keep the emphasis on the glutes, hamstrings, and the lower back instead of the quadriceps. If you have the ability, start with the bar on a rack or an elevated platform if possible. If not, you may perform a standard deadlift to get the bar up to the start position. Grab the bar just outside of the thighs and start with the feet approximately hip width apart but no more than shoulder width apart. Contract the lats and pull the bar toward the body and keep them engaged throughout the movement. Unlock the knees, then shift your hips back and lower the bar slowly, keeping it in contact with the legs at all times. Maintain good lumbar extension throughout the movement. Allow a very small amount of flexion in the knees and lower until the glutes and hamstrings are tight. Return to the start position by extending at the hips while keeping the lats active and the bar close to the body. The objective of the exercise is not to achieve maximum depth. Many people will not be able to lower the bar all the way to the ground, which is fine. You're going too low if you can't maintain good lordotic lumbar curve or if additional knee flexion is needed to achieve further depth.